What is the link between my hometown and the East End of London? Hi everyone, we're back in our own hometown. We're just a quarter of a mile from our house and we're having another go at making this film. We've been asked in the past to make a movie here in Bargoed, and we did, but when we got home there was no volume, as I'm sure our regulars will remember. So here we go again, and hopefully the sound as well as the image is with us this time as we take you on a tour of our town. We'll show you the artwork that's here, like this gorgeous big daffodil behind me. We'll show you our library, which is actually at one time a chapel where Caroline and I were married. We've got old buildings, we've got new buildings, we've got all sorts to share with you. So let's get on our way and take a look at Bargoed town. Here we are on the north end of Bargoed, and we've got this beautiful statue of an angel, and the reason this was placed here is the new bypass is called Angel Way, and that takes you around the town. We're still getting a fair bit of traffic through, so we'll have to cut a lot of that out, but at the moment we're having a minute's quiet. And right opposite where I'm standing now, we've got the Cozy Fish Bar, once the Cozy Corner Cafe, run by Bargoed and Nancy Azarati, and that's where Caroline and I met the first time when she was 16 years of age. As with all the valley towns, things are changing here in Bargoed and have been changing for decades. One of the things that has been on the move for some time is this chap up behind me. This soldier was stood on the square in the town in order to mark those who fell during the Great War and the Second World War. The square shows the status of this place. They called it Trafalgar Square in Bargoed. But then he was moved up to the park. That's where he was during most of our lifetime, until eventually he was brought down here and put into the grounds of St Gladys's Church. So he's been on the move. I think this is probably his final place of rest, and he looks good as he looks out across the town and beyond. Well, we'd better move on because it's time to head up through town from the north end.
Well, the charity shops are closed, but we can still look in the window. We've got £40 worth of Lego in a tub there, lots of fortnight books, canteen of cutlery over there, £50. Oh, a pretty red vase or vase in the shape of a basket, some lamps and some brasses. Let's look in the other window. Oh, we've got a castle and some figures for £50. Ooh, turn you sideways and be able to see it. There. A tea set for £10 and some DVDs. And if you look in there, ooh, it's dark, so you can't see much, but it gives you an idea of how much they've squashed into this little shop. Quite impressive.
Now here's something interesting. Here in the charity shop window they've put a photograph of old Bargoed town, which is the exact view we would have had if we'd been looking this way 100 years ago.
Oh, estate agent, let's have a look. Sulanan Tywine Road, Pentywine, Aberdeen, £479,995. That's nice. Broncloyne Road, Gethley in Penta, £139,950. Coronation Place, Aberfan in Merthyr Tydfil, £89,995. Marwyn Gardens, £247,500. Kimberley, Gethley Half Road, Fleur de Lis, Blackwood, £160,000. Anything take your fancy? Here's Bernardo's. Let's have a look. They always do a lovely display in the window here. Oh, I like that doll, isn't she nice? Sorry about the flickering. Some lights are really bad for the camera. With a little baby dolly in a basket. Quick look inside, more flashing. This is all to celebrate Bargoed An Bloom Flower Festival. Isn't that pretty? Oh, we got some bling in this shop. If you like bling and glittery things, this is the shop for you.
Here we are in the middle of town, and this used to be Hanbury Road Baptist Chapel, where Caroline and I were married in 1981. Now it's our library. Built in 1906, this is a typical example of the grandeur of the chapels of the time, and reflects the influx of people as the mines opened up, the jobs were provided, and the people moved into town. Bargoed went from being a tiny village of no significance to street after street of terraced housing, and thousands of people coming from as far as Cornwall, Bristol, Scotland, all here to work in the mines. And of course, many of them were chapel folk. But every chapel in this area at the time, Welsh speaking. And that's why this is an English Baptist chapel. This was opened by John Llewellyn, 1906, where the services were conducted in the English language, and that drew in hundreds of people. And they built a chapel, they rebuilt the chapel, they extended the chapel, and now we have this gorgeous, gorgeous building that you see. But it's very much a story of two halves, because while on the front you see the chapel as it's been for nearly 120 years. At the rear, it is so modern. It has a lift. It has all of the facade of a brand new build, with the beautiful big panelled windows giving the view over the valley. It is everything you'd want from a 21st century building. But coupled together, it works and provides a library for the town. Bargoed at one time was a grand town, and it really believed in itself. Not only was the square called Trafalgar Square, but Gus Jones's, the jeweller that started here in Bargoed, said he began here in the metropolis of Bargoed. What a word to use to describe a town. And the buildings that we have show just how grand it was. This was the courtroom. Now, as you can see from the insignias, it's the chambers of the Bargoed Town Council, which I once served on many years ago. And next door is the police station, another grand building. All around us we can see the marks of when this was a thriving community centred around a colliery that employed thousands of men and was a super pit breaking world records. Now we're at the far end of Bargoed, at what was once known as Trafalgar Square. It's all changed in recent years, but one new addition which I do think looks smart is the Miners' Heads. The change at Bargoed isn't just among the shops. That has changed tremendously. The whole development that brought in Morrison's supermarket and the rest, none of this ground was here. This has all been made up. And it was made from the waste that had come up from the mine. Because behind me is the site that was once Bargoed Colliery. And those houses over there, you wouldn't have seen those 30, 40 years ago. Because what would have been between us and those houses would have been a mountain of coal waste. It was huge and covered in fir trees. It looked like an alpine scene. The biggest waste coal tip in Europe stood right here in the valley at Bargoed town. Now, all of that coal waste has been spread out. It's been layered, it's been terraced, it's been planted, and a new park has been created. The first park of its kind within the boundaries of Caerphilly County Borough when it opened. And now people walk along the river and they enjoy the natural surroundings. But all of the time, they're walking on the very waste that was brought up that mine as those men broke world records and produced coal by the hundreds and thousands and millions of tons. Now we're at the top of Bargoed, up high above the town. We've come up through the terraces of houses and we're at the park. And even the park itself tells you the status of this town over the years. These grand gates, which have a plaque here, 1851, on the other gate, 1951, showing Gethley Gate Church, and proudly displayed above, Festival of Britain. This community celebrated the Festival of Britain and the centenary by putting up such gorgeous gates, which led to a beautiful park which covers acres and acres of ground. Even had an open air swimming pool when we were kids, which was great fun. But there's more to this place than just the shops, the houses and the park. It's the people, and there have been some famous people from round here. There's a plaque here for a politician that was from the town. But there have also been 2 world champion boxers, a gold medalist boxer, world-class golfers. We've also had a WWE wrestler from Bargoed. And we've had a Eurovision song contestant for Great Britain from right here. Took part in 2004. So the people have made this place as much as anything.
I love this seat. I used to sit on this right from when I was 8 years old when we moved to this area. And the floor has disappeared from underneath the seat because it's being picked up and eaten by a killer tree. Look at that. You can almost hear the mansion. It's a big fat oak tree.
And here we have another tree eating a bench. It seems to be quite a feature in Bargoed Park. And as Caroline says, she's been enjoying the feature for over 50 years. Now, I did ask you what the link was between this town and the East End of London, so I ought to tell you. It's simply this. There was a young man named Adam Woodyatt. His grandparents lived here in Bargoed, and he had a summer job at the local butcher's. But he's much better known to the nation as a character in the soap opera EastEnders. He is Mr. Ian Beale. So there's your link, folks. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this trip through Bargoed, a place that was of such notoriety at one time that even Lowry himself stopped, took sketches and painted what he saw as he came over the town. If you have enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up.
Doing, doing, doing.
And don't forget, till the next time we're out and about, have fun. Bye.
Bye.